Welcome everybody to the AME Television Show. I'm your host Jason Dowd, and this is the first show of 2016, which I'm really excited for. However, 2016 has been a little rocky for the entertainment industry. We've lost so many people already. We've lost, we lost David Bowie, Natalie Cole, Grizzly Adams. We lost Celine Dion. She didn't die, but her husband, the producer that made her career, he passed away from cancer. Then 2 days later, she lost her brother. It's been a really tough year for the stars, and I'm hoping it slows down so that way we can keep some of these legends around for a little bit longer. One of the things I'm going to be talking to you today, guys, we're going to be going to an iconic hot spot in Tampa. It's called Mel's Hotdogs. Mel has been an icon in the area and has been a very huge business success. He has his aura around the world is surreal, and what he's been able to do just with a little hot dog. So I decided to go down to Busch Boulevard, see him at his place, and talk to him about his success, his hot dogs, and his crazy mannerisms. He is so much fun. Let's go talk to Mel from Mel's Hot Dogs. All right, guys, we are here on Busch Boulevard in one of the most iconic places in the Tampa Bay area, Mel's Hot Dogs. I have been eating here ever since I moved here to Florida a couple of years, about 20 years ago, and we're here with Mel. How are you doing?
Wait, iconic places in Tampa, Florida? No. One of the iconic places in the world. I mean, there's the pyramids, there's the Roman Coliseum, there's Mel's Hot Dogs.
And you know, that's right, and I've been looking at all of these pictures that you have on the walls where people have taken pictures of themselves with your shirt all over the world.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? It is. It amazes me. I really love it. I can walk around the world right here at Mel's Hot Dogs.
How did they send you all these pictures? I mean, what made them think of taking like a picture? I think there's one on top of what is it, Mount Everest or whatever?
There's really at the North Pole, South Pole, Great Wall of China. They're just every iconic place. And it started out, I had pictures on the walls of friends, and people would say, you know, I want a picture. I said, well, just grab a T-shirt and take a picture somewhere cool. And it just kind of grew into a crazy thing. My favorite, there's a picture of a camel in Saudi Arabia with a Mel's Hot Dogs bumper sticker on it. Now, obviously, the camel's not a customer here, never been here, but it's a very cool picture.
Are you sure he hasn't been here before?
No, I'm not, but it reminds me of a very bad joke that I won't do.
So how do you get your business to become this popular? Was it marketing? Was it the food? Was it both?
A long time ago, a gentleman who had been in restaurant business for decades told me, do what you do best and make friends while you're doing it. And I grew up eating Vienna beef hot dogs. There is no better hot dog in the world. I came to Tampa, Florida. There was no hot dog place. I said, I'll do this for a while and open up a hot dog stand and just had fun and made sure my staff was having fun and made sure the product was great and talked with my customers, spent my time in the dining room when I wasn't having to work behind the counter, and made friends. And people want to deal with their friends. And it was sincere friendship. I really cared. It's just grown and blossomed over 42 years. Been a cool ride.
I bet it has. And you're right next to Busch Gardens, too, which I'm sure helps a lot.
I thought it was very smart of Busch Gardens to open up right next to Mel's Hot Dogs before I did.
That's true. So, what is the key to having a good hot dog?
There really is this. The secret is that there is no secret. There are one or two great manufacturers in the world that make super premium hot dogs. I mean, growing up in Chicago, Vienna beef is the best. And if you taste test, if you blind test everything that's available, you'll be most inclined to agree that Vienna beef are the best. The Vienna beef hot dogs out of Chicago are unmatchable. They are a super premium hot dog. And we use a natural casing hot dog, which is actually even more unusual, extremely rare. That casing pops when you bite into it. And we use a super premium bun out of Chicago that we bring in, and just preparing everything properly and not overcooking anything, steaming the buns, condiments that are we don't use just a mustard. We use a brand mustard. We use sweet Spanish onions. We bring our sauerkraut in from Chicago, our pickles. Everything that we do even the things that people don't know, like the ketchup. We use Heinz ketchup. Nobody knows that it's Heinz ketchup, but your taste buds know. You can fool your eyes. You can fool your ears a little bit. You can sort of fool your nose, but your tongue knows. Your tongue knows cheap from good. There's a big difference. So without people seeing a label, their tongue's telling them, wow, this is a great product. And our prices aren't cheap. Never wanted them to be cheap. Never thought about going to restaurants that advertise prices, advertise quality. We provide quality. We have this fun ambiance and a staff that really enjoys being here, that I treat with respect and respects me, and it's a winning combination.
Growing up in the New England area, we grew up around the Coney dog. You know, what I realized is that every part of the world, or every part of the United States, has their own version of the hot dog. What is a true Chicago hot dog?
A Vienna beef, natural casing hot dog served on a steamed poppy seed bun, and it has to have mustard, onions, sweet pickle relish. In Chicago it's called pickle lily, slice of kosher dough pickle, tomatoes, celery salt, and some baby Mexican hot sport peppers. That's a Chicago dog.
That sounds amazing. You guys sell them here, right?
Duh.
What has been some of the weirdest requests that you've ever had to put on a hot dog? I'm sure over 40 years you've had some pretty strange requests.
You know, in the beginning, growing up in Chicago, I mean, there's an adage in Chicago, never put ketchup on a hot dog. So in the beginning, I wouldn't do it for people. I'd give them their own ketchup, say, hey, you do it yourself. We just don't do it. And in the beginning, I didn't serve chili dogs because I thought that was a sacrilege to destroy this magnificent hot dog with chili on it. And I thought it was bizarre. I mean, why would you want to put chili on a great Chicago hot dog? But I've acquiesced to customers' demands over the years, and we'll put pretty much anything on a hot dog now, and people ask for it. I mean, bacon and cheddar cheese and provolone cheese and slaw. Y'all got slaw dogs? Yeah, well, now we have slaw dogs, chili slaw dogs, West Virginia dogs. But the thing that always strikes me as bizarre is mayonnaise. When somebody says, I'd like mayonnaise in my hot dog, I say, excuse me, this is a hot dog, Nana. Chicken salad sandwich. Yeah, I like mayonnaise and ketchup. Oh, that's a double whammy for me, man. I mean, it hurts my body to write that down, but yeah, mayonnaise on a hot dog just ain't right. Period.
I could see that. I don't know if I'd put mayonnaise on my hot dog either, but I do like a chili dog. But again, that's where I grew up. That, you know, chili was pretty hot up there, and
chili's good. I mean, I like chili dogs. I like one of our local radio guys, Jack Harris. He's from West Virginia, and been a friend for a few hundred years. And he said, you need to have a West Virginia hot dog. And I said, what's a West Virginia hot dog? He said, a chili slaw dog. I said, Jack, you can't taste a hot dog that way. He said, that's the whole purpose. I said, but we have good hot dogs. But so he came in, we sat down, and we had chili slaw dogs, and they were good. Another customer wanted chili dog with sauerkraut. And I said, for real? Chili and sauerkraut? And he said, and I quote, shut up and try it. So I shut up and tried it, and it was really good. I mean, totally unorthodox, but really good. So why not? I mean, if you got an idea, I'll try to do it.
Well, one of the weirdest things I've ever seen on a hot dog was ketchup, mustard, and chili. The ketchup just kind of completely grossed me out. Have you ever tried one of those?
I've tried it. The only thing I haven't put on a hot dog, and I refuse to, is mayonnaise. I've got borders. I got limits to what I'll do. But my mustard and ketchup, I'm not a big fan of ketchup on a hot dog, but that's my Chicago upbringing. Mustard on a chili dog is good. I like chili dog with cheddar cheese, mustard, and onions. I mean, that just rocks to me. But I mean, in a weak moment, I'll let a little ketchup sneak on there. It seems kind of contrary because there's tomato product in the chili, but you know, if it makes you happy, let's try it.
I know the first time somebody gave me one of those, I was like, "What do you don't put ketchup and chili together?" It just, I don't know. That's just me, but
we have people that say mustard, ketchup, and mayonnaise on a hot dog. Mustard, ketchup, and mayonnaise, and I just look at them. Why? Why would you do that to a nice hot dog? That's so disrespectful to the meat.
One of the things that I have always loved about this area here is that you have become a centerpiece for the community. How do you make this such a special place for people when they come into the place? Obviously, like you said, you talk to them, but what's cool about this ambiance is that it has that classic feel.
My wife and I wanted this to be a throwback. So in our design and our everything we do, we try to have a feel of the 1950s, 1960s, when everyone reflects that the world was a simpler place. I don't know if it was or wasn't, but looking back is always nicer for people. So we have that with the booze and the chrome and the little borders on the tables. It's to try and have that throwback feeling. The low ceilings makes it cozier. I don't think it's up to code anymore, but we've been here forever, and then a couple of days beyond forever. The pictures on the wall make it warm and friendly. It's homey. And then I think mostly it's the staff. Our staff, when we take your order, we take your name so we can call out. So rather than calling out, order number 57B27-C, your order's ready. Bob, your order's ready. So we get to know our customers, and our customers get to know us. And it creates that warm, that neighborhood feel. And everybody longs for it. Everybody's looking forward to going back to nicer times. And that's what we try to be here, nicer old times.
And obviously, like I said, I've seen this wall of all these very important people that have been here. What has probably been the most VIP person that's ever walked in these doors?
You know what? It's the kids that come in. Those are my VIPs. The little kids that come in here and they eat their first hot dog and their eyeballs just pop over and they're excited and they go. Those are my important people. Old people I don't give a damn about. They're like me. They're just here. But the young kids are so cool. They're so excited and they're shoveling food in their mouth and they just like the environment. That's my VIPs, the children. Tomorrow.
Now tell me about this iconic car that you have out here shaped like a hot dog. I love that thing. What made you decide to build something like that?
There's a fun story behind that. I get these wild hairs, and I decided I was going to do a Wienermobile to do the local parades and stuff. And so I contacted the Oscar Mayer people. I said, I'd be interested in buying one of your old Wienermobiles. I worked my way up long telephone conversations with a lot of people and ended up with one of the senior vice presidents of marketing. And he said, we really don't do this, but, we might consider it. And then he said, so where do you get your Oscar Mayer hot dogs from? And there was this long pregnant pause on my part, and I said, I don't use Oscar Mayer hot dogs. And it was followed by a click on his end. So I said, well, you know what, I could do my own Wienermobile. And I bought an old dune buggy and a Volkswagen, and I took it to a fiberglass shop, a guy that did custom work, and I said, I've got a crazy project for you. And he relished the moment and mustered up all his energy and came up with this crazy Wienermobile. I mean, we worked on it together, and that's the second incarnation out there. The first one actually rusted to death, and this one is rusting to death. We're getting ready to develop the third Wienermobile, but my mind does these things. It's real scary in here. We have a lot of fun, both of us. Actually, all of us.
I'm the same way. There's a lot of people up here, that's for sure.
What did somebody say? Interview with a doctor that said, does your family suffer from mental health issues? And I said, no, we actually enjoy it.
You got to enjoy yourselves, right?
Hey, it's great in here. The voices keep talking to me.
Well, thank you so much for showing us this amazing place. We're going to go have some hot dogs, everybody, and check out the website because you're going to be able to find out where this is located. So if you ever come to the Tampa Bay area, check out Mel's Hot Dogs.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME. 877-94-HELP-ME.
All right, everybody, I'm back, and we're going to be going to my next segment, which is a brand new thing I'm going to be introducing to you called Historic People and Places. If you've ever wanted to see some of these amazing places, like George Washington's home, or somebody's grave, or somebody that really impacted our country, or maybe the world, we're going to take you to it. So hopefully you'll be able to see it and get inspired enough to go check it out yourself. This first one that we're going to be introducing is George Steinbrenner. He was the owner of the New York Yankees, and we have his grave right here in Trinity, Florida. So I'm going to take you to that so you can see the icon of baseball, George Steinbrenner. Let's go check it out right now. Hey everybody, we are in Trinity, Florida for our new segment called Historic Places and People. And what I'm going to be showing you today is the grave of George Steinbrenner. In 1973, George Steinbrenner bought the New York Yankees for $8.8 million. It is now worth over $1.5 billion, so that was definitely worth the investment. Throughout his time, he's had a lot of success. In 1973, he bought the team. In 1975 and 76, he remodeled Yankee Stadium. That did cause a lot of problems with a lot of the legends, like Yogi Berra, but he continued on it anyways to try to modernize the stadium to what we knew it until about 2009. The Yankees won their first World Series there since the 1960s in 1977 and repeated in 1978. Those were his first two World Series rings. He then went in the 1980s to the World Series, but they did not win. Shortly after that, in 1996, he picked up a young man named Derek Jeter, who then became the last captain to ever run the New York Yankees. Throughout his time, he won in 1996, 98, 99, and 2000 4 world championships, and then in 2009 they won their 5th. Sadly, 2009 was when George Steinbrenner passed away, but he was able to see his New York Yankees win their 27th World Series championship before he passed away. The legend of the New York Yankees has been synonymous throughout all of sports. They are the most winning team in all of the sports in North America. What's also interesting about George Steinbrenner is his way of running the team. He's very, very strict. He demanded excellence from everybody. All his managers loved working for the Yankees, but they could not stand how hard he was on the team. He demanded that they win or go home. And when he put his money behind something, it was successful. So you had no room for error. And that made a lot of sense because look at the franchise that the New York Yankees is today. I have always loved the New York Yankees. I've watched Derek Jeter. I've watched Alex Rodriguez. I've watched Don Mattingly and Reggie Jackson. These guys are icons within the New York Yankees. And most recently, we got to see a bunch of them retire. It's all because of this man behind us right now that has made baseball such an iconic sport throughout the modern history that we know it as of today. He took a team that Ruth built and made another dynasty out of it in a time that wasn't supposed to happen. George Steinbrenner, we salute you for what you've done for the sport of baseball, and I look forward to seeing what your team continues to do as your sons run it.
Limo Bob builds, sells, and rents the world's finest, longest, and most exotic limousines in the world. We provide every imaginable vehicle from a 4-passenger town car to a 10-passenger Bentley Rolls and a Hummer for $20. We even have a one-of-a-kind 727 jet limo. And we offer a complete consulting package where Limo Bob comes to your location and shares 3 decades of experience in 3 days with you. Call 708-945-LIMO and visit limobob.com.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV.
All right, everybody, we're back, and I'm going to be taking you right now to see John Graden. John Graden is an author who wrote a book called Who Killed Walt Bone? It's a story of his life as he got introduced to karate, went down the wrong path, and changed his life around to make it something very successful. He's a great guy. Really enjoyed talking to him, and I know you're going to like his book. And hopefully, if you have a child that is kind of going down the same path, his story will help you recognize the signs to stop your child from going down that same path. Let's go talk to John Graden right now. Hey everybody, I'm here with John Graden, and he is the author of Who Killed Walt Bone? And we're going to be talking about his life and the story that he has written. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thanks for being here.
So tell me a little bit about your history in your book.
Like many kids in the early 1970s, the Kung Fu boom hit. It was huge. The biggest films in the theaters were the Bruce Lee Kung Fu films.
Right.
The biggest show on TV was the Kung Fu television show with Kwai Chang Kang. And even on the radio, you turn on the radio and it'd be Kung Fu fighting would be the song. So this whole Kung Fu thing hit so big and strong. And I was a shy, chubby 13-year-old. I like to say that I was the victim of bullies, braces, and really bad clothes, which was indicative of the 1970s. If there was ever a decade for ugly, the 70s was it. It was. Right. I mean, I looked like an Osmond groupie. It was just awful. So, in order for me to try and gain some confidence and some control in my life, my father was in the military. And he raised us to love America, and he raised us on John Wayne, Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood, men who were men. As a man, the man. That was a big deal. And there was this sense of fair fighting. You don't kick a man in the groin. You never hit a man when he's down because it's easier to kick him. But we went to this theater when I was 13, the Largo Theater, and it was the Five Fingers of Death. It was a terrible film, but it was the first of these Chinese Kung Fu films. And these guys weren't big, strapping John Waynes. They were little dudes, little guys. And they would fly through the air and break every rule of fighting we were ever raised on. They didn't just kick a guy in the groin. They ripped his nuts out. They didn't just kick a man when he's down. They stomped him into a grave. We sat there slack-jawed. And I was just blown away. I had to have that. I wanted to do that. So the following week, I started calling local karate schools. And lo and behold, we went to a local school called the Florida Karate Academy that was owned, and the instructor was Walt Bone. And he got us excited and got me really immersed deeply into the martial arts lifestyle. So that's how the introduction and early days of martial arts were for me.
What type of martial arts was it?
Taekwondo. You may have heard of Taekwondo, but this is Taekwondo. In other words, it was from Texas, which means it was rough. It was what they call blood and guts. So they were far more aggressive and fighting-oriented than the original Asian Taekwondo style that it emanated from.
Did it help you as in school and just all around? 'Cause I know it helped me.
Good for you, because it didn't help me. and I want to qualify that, but this is the truth. I was a straight A student. I was honor roll. I mean, school was very easy for me. I got so deep into karate, that's all I could think about. So when we went to, say, biology class, I would open my biology book, reach down, and I'd slip in a copy of Official Karate Magazine. So I'd be reading about, Kung Fu and self-defense while the instructor's talking about, self-vision or something. I have no idea. So my grades actually started to drop to the point where I dropped out of school. I stopped going. And I can guarantee you that would have never happened had I not got involved in martial arts. And I don't mean to say in any stretch of the imagination that martial arts is bad for anyone. It's a great training. It's great exposure. It's a great process for kids. In my case, it was really the reverse. It was almost like Bizarro World. And that's partially why I wrote the book, because I think a good parent's nightmare is that all the hard work that they put into raising their child to be law-abiding, honest, respectful, all that work goes out the window when that kid becomes a teenager and finds someone or something they think is cooler. And that's what happened to me. I thought my karate instructors walked on water. They were just the coolest guys I'd ever seen in my life. Holy cow. They were athletic. They were deadly. They could kill you with one blow. At least in the movies they could. And they were very healthy. They would eat right. They talked about eating healthy. Don't eat sugar. Don't eat salt. And they trained. And they trained hard. And they were honest. They were good. They were honorable. And I really immersed myself into that. And then one fateful Friday afternoon, I was with a bunch of the brown belts, and we were training. I was 15 years old, and I was a brown belt, and a real good one. And when the workout finished, the guy said, "Okay, let's party." I said, "What do you mean?" And it was like when the parents leave the house and leave the teens at the house, the atmosphere changed, the vibe changed. The vibe changed big time. I felt it, and I was really uncomfortable. And I remember my first karate class, Mr. Bone saying in front of the class, "Don't ever come to my class drunk. Don't ever come to my class stoned." This is, again, early 70s. So these guys broke out the bongs and the pot and the beer. And, oh man, Mr. Bone doesn't, he said never come to the karate school stoned or drunk. And they started laughing. He said, "John, you're so dumb." He said never come to the karate class drunk. He comes stoned all the time. It was like, if you can imagine psychologically somebody pulling a trap door and you're just, you go straight down to a dark place. That's what happened. Rather than running for the hills, which I should have done, maybe, who knows, I continued to do what I'd done to that point, and that was to try my best to be like my instructors. So I got really caught up in that world, and it makes for an amazing book. It makes for great stories, but it's a completely different path than anyone who would enroll their child in a martial arts school today, and I encourage them to. But the message I want to get is make sure you check out and monitor and be aware of the influences, whether it's people or things or music or genres or cultures that are influencing your teens. You just can't take it for granted. It's not that you don't trust your teen. Don't trust the world around them. That's the key point to the book.
I totally agree. I see so many parents just kind of trying to throw their children into something like a karate, thinking that everything's just fine and dandy, but there are some bad people in those schools, just like there's bad people in regular schools, and they can take you down paths that you shouldn't be doing because you think that they're cool or you think that they're, you know, influential in just to you as yourself. And, you know, I've seen that happen to a lot of people. I think it is important for parents to really embrace what their children are doing and just kind of monitor it. They don't have to like spy on them every 2 minutes and be a helicopter parent, but just keep an eye out.
There's a big difference between involvement in terms of I'm supportive, I drive them to class and those kind of things. That's great. But you really want to have a clear understanding of what's going on behind the closed doors. And I was doing an interview recently, and the guy said, well, you know, it was the early 70s. A lot of people were partying those days. And I said, okay, imagine that your child was really good at biology. And after high school every day, that biology teacher would invite the smart kids over to the house, and they would study biology. And they'd watch videos and do experiments, and it just sounds like they're really getting into biology. But you didn't know that part of the experiment was rolling dope and doing drugs, and that's part of the biological experiment. Would you approve of that in the 70s? Would you approve of that in the 80s, the 90s? No, you'd never approve anything like that. So that level of interest and concern in monitoring, I think, is real important.
What are some signs that parents should be looking for?
A radical change in respect and behavior, and this is indicative of today's world. Today, parents work hard to become friends with their kids. I think that's a mistake. It's nice to be friendly, but my job first is to keep you on the straight and narrow. For me, I was raised in a military family. Yes, sir, no, sir. Oddly enough, yes, sir, and no, sir went out the window when I started doing karate. Now, today, if you join a good karate school, They teach you to say yes sir, no sir. It's complete opposite. Again, I can't emphasize that to you enough. Martial arts schools today are great with kids. This was the early 70s. There weren't many kids. So a radical change in behavior, and also watch the crowd they're hanging out with. That is really important. I went from a group of guys that were stealing cars, drinking booze, doing drugs. You know, when those guys pull up in their van to take your 16-year-old out, that's a pretty good red signal. You know?
I would think so.
McFly.
Yeah. It's like the guy with the motorcycle coming up to date your daughter. He gets out. He's got that, you know, spiked hairstyle and stuff like that.
I'm telling you what, you know, you guys are going to enjoy this evening sitting on our couch watching TV.
So if you're a parent and you start to see your child's behavior changing, what should you do? What's one of the things that you can do to either monitor it without, you know, just looking like you're spying on them and getting them upset, or do you just jump in full blown and try to take care of it right then and there? I
would not present myself as an expert, as a parenting expert by any stretch. I have kids. I love them. I think we're doing a great job with them. There is a couple strategies, and I think the best is the martial arts principle of align and redirect. Align and redirect. And that is getting more involved, but being aware when you're coming to those forks in the road to help them understand the decision-making process. That's what I didn't have. It was never explained to me the consequences of going down this road. It was never explained to me this is illegal activity. This is jail. I know you see jail on TV and it looks kind of cool. No, this is real jail. And if you continue to do this, that's what's going to happen. And what happened with my instructors is that some of them went to prison, some of them died in the process of smuggling drugs. This is not Mr. Miyagi. This is far more Walter White from Breaking Bad, and that's the subtitle of the book. It's Who Killed Walt Bone? Breaking Bad meets the Karate Kid, and that's exactly what happened.
So describe your book a little bit more in detail. What can people expect to see out of this book?
The reviews that I've been getting is that it's a great read. I'm not trying to sell the book. It's just that it's a lot of great stories. Some of the stories are exciting. They're adventurous. There literally is drugs, perverted sex, murder, prison, and some great classroom fight scenes. I mean, it reads like an action movie because it really was an action period of time. If you take the Karate Kid and mix it in with Breaking Bad, and then some other films. Some of you may be familiar with the film Dazed and Confused. Mm-hmm. Dazed and Confused was based upon 1976 graduation night or prom night, I think, and they were all my age. They listened to Yes and Led Zeppelin and Getting Stoned, which is exactly what we were doing in those days. So that kind of mashup would be a good description of the book.
And where can people find the book?
Amazon.com. It is right now a paperback. Yeah, it's a paperback book. It's also Kindle, and soon it will be an Audible book. So it'll be. I'll read it to you.
And do you have any other things in the works, maybe for like a sequel or anything?
I have 2 sequels in mind that are under development, and I continually write books and coach people on writing their own books and help people get their idea to fruition. People can find that out at johngraden.com. That's where I'm at.
And what do you want them to take away from your book when they're done reading it, or
hopefully a big smile? I hope that I ruin their night by keeping them up all night. That's my goal. Start at 10, look over, it's 4 a.m. I'm just now finishing this guy's book. That's the effect that I want. I want them to enjoy it, and the underlying message, because it's certainly not one that I beat people over the head with in the book, is that 2 things. One, be aware of what your kids are doing. And then if I've got teens and young people reading it, understand the power, and this is really important, and it took me a long time to realize this, to replace me, myself, and I with the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. That's powerful. And had I been introduced to those powerful principles at that time, think about it. I immediately immersed myself into this karate stuff. Had I been taught about the best teacher in history, bar none, I would have immersed myself in that. The combination would have been beautiful, fantastic, wonderful. I didn't get that other side. until much later in life. So I would encourage somebody or anybody who's reading the book to read it with that in mind.
And most importantly, you did straighten yourself out and get yourself on the right and narrow, right?
I did go on to have many successful businesses and win world championships.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for coming on and sharing your book with us and sharing your experiences with it. And I hope people learn from this book when they read it as well.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed all the people and places we've taken you to see and do this episode. We have a lot more coming up. And if you want to see all of our past shows, you can do that by going to www.theamemagazine.com. You can check out the television show and see all of our adventures. You can go to our radio show and see all the upcoming guests we have, and we have a lot of them. It is going to be amazing. And you can go check us out on the website for our magazine, the AME Magazine, which is an art and entertainment magazine. If you like things that go bump in the night like I do, we have a magazine called Beyond the Limits Magazine, which is all about the paranormal. So that's all we have for you guys. Stay tuned next time, and we're going to be taking a lot more people and places. Where we're going to go, I don't know. Check us out. Good night.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.